Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Cyberpunk 2077. Am I too late for that joke? Let's try again. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Terraria, but every NPC is bigger, but they're also smaller sometimes, and it's random, and the size scales their health and damage, which goes up and down based on whether they're big or small. Part 3. My only goal for this video is to beat the Wall of Flesh. Before getting into that though, full disclosure, if things look a little bit different, that's because a lot has happened since the last video. You see, I usually try to record everything the whole time I'm playing on this world and pick out the highlights for these videos. Basically, my strategy comes down to clipping out the moments where I say F it we balling, and cut out the parts where I would say F it we balling. Trouble is, with a mod like this, sometimes my computer can struggle to process things, and while I was fighting the Wall of Flesh, my game crashed and I lost roughly an hour of footage. So here's a rough recreation of what you missed. First, I made full Hellstone armor and gear after farming the underworld for a while. Then I finally figured out how to use the Skybridge builder and went a little wacky with it in the underworld. Damn it, not another one. I wanted to check out the dungeon, seeing as I worked so hard in the last episode to unlock it. You know, I always thought the dungeon was overrated anyways. In all seriousness though, the dungeon was an absolute nightmare. There were so many locked biome chests and I had no keys to open them. Plus the traps, which are usually fairly small, were also randomized in size, which means I had to deal with things like this. Or I guess the mechanic had to deal with that? The only thing that would be worthwhile was this summoner's table, which temporarily lets me use a second minion, and the magic weapon, Water Bolt. Trouble is, I don't know where to find Water Bolt, and I don't even think it would be worth it, so I said F that. Wait a second. YouTube loosened the restrictions on curse words. Finally, I don't have to censor myself. Fiddlesticks! Look, I spent a lot of time fighting the Wall of Flesh. I mean, just look at the amount of gravestones in these areas alone. Usually the strategy for this fight is straightforward. Build a bridge, run, that's it. The only thing Wall of Flesh can technically do to defend itself is fire lasers and occasionally move slightly faster. The trouble is his hitboxes. Normally Wall of Flesh has 2 eyes, a mouth, and tens of smaller mouths sticking out just in front of it. The smaller mouths and eyes take normal damage, while the main mouth has a whopping defense stat of 26. That basically halves all incoming damage. But surely I could just aim for the eyes, right? Nope! I fought Wall of Flesh so many times I couldn't even count. And every single time there was some issue. Either the eyes were so small that they would retract inside the body and be unable to take damage, either that or the mouth would be so large it would cover the eyes, or the clingers would be so large that they would block my attacks entirely. Imagine this. You go to kill the final boss, and the moment he spawns in, his attack box is so large it instantly kills you. This happened to me more times than I could count, which looking back at the footage is only twice. I'm not very good at counting. Eventually I got tired of dying again and again and decided to try something a little bit different, summoning the Wall of Flesh from the surface. Why, you ask? If you haven't noticed from the footage, most of my deaths actually didn't even come from the boss itself, but these random bloodworms. Normally they would be a minor nuisance at most, but because they're segmented, every part of their body is randomized. This means that they all get extra speed from being incredibly small, and the extra damage of being massive. I have to say though, it was not what I expected. My man sank through the ground near instantly, but the rest of him didn't. For some reason, the clinger's eyes and mouth all fell slowly, moving diagonally towards the edge of hell. Surely such a strategy wasn't meant to be used in normal gameplay, and I would of course use this ability responsibly, and only to test out my strategies rather than actually try and kill it. That was obviously a lie, but it would move so fast I wouldn't even be able to get it to half health. Then when I tried to teleport down to health to fight it properly, I would just die instantly from teleporting. Not fun. Basically my only options were continue the struggle endlessly fighting it in hell, or dig a diagonal pit all the way down to hell from the overworld to try and cheese it. Not fun either way you look at it. What's worse is I realized something. Since I was able to clearly hit both types of eyes, big and small, I was able to test out how much damage I was doing. Now what I didn't mention is every time I summoned in Wall of Flesh, I could see the amount of health one of its segments would have. This ranged from at lowest 11 to at most 40,000. I somewhat naively assumed that since each of the eyes and mouths had different health segments, I would only need to hit the weakest one and be able to kill it. Turns out, no matter what kind of eye I hit, it would do the same amount of damage. I have no idea how this even happens. I have no idea if all the individual health bars are combined or averaged or what, but all I know is, at minimum, each wall of flesh would have a rough average of at least 20,000 health. Not good, especially since I'm supposed to be playing on the easiest mode there is.